Hi, this is Edward with a brief tutorial on processes and procedures for Screencast-O-Matic. Generally, as I'm preparing a screencast, the very first thing I'll do is actually read the text itself. So I have opened up the document here. One of the things that I will do is I will go through, maybe I'll color code different things as I'm going through it. So maybe I'll have 3 or 4 specific points that I want to address in my comments. So I will then use a different set of color coding through that as a reference to myself. You can also possibly use insert word as a way of doing this as well. So I've left a note here to myself that I want to leave a note here about citation, maybe a note to add additional information as well within it as well. Sometimes as I'm doing this, I will keep a piece of paper to my side where I have written notes as a prompt to myself as I'm reading through the document and actually doing the screencast itself. Um, Kind of once you have gotten this element, you've prepared the text, you're kind of ready for what you're going to do. I then also open up any additional resources that I'm going to be using during the course of the screencasting. So this saves me some time during the actual casting itself. So in this case, I have opened up the prompt for the assignment, so that if as I'm going through it, I want to refer back to a specific element, talking about something maybe they've included or did not include, something they need to expand on as well. But then this also gives them a good visual reference to say, okay, this is what we were looking for in terms of this assignment. I may also open up any additional resources that may be uh, beneficial as well. So something like an online resource like Purdue OWL and MLA formatting. This might be something that I can then show them, talk about the URL, talk about where they can go to it themselves. Once I have gotten all of this ready, I will then actually start thinking about the screencast itself. So this is also kind of saying this is the first time you're going through it. So I will actually put in or go to the Screencast-O-Matic, which is Screencast-O-Matic right here, the URL, taking it to it. You can set up your own account. I'm already logged into this one right here. The other thing that you want to do is download it, the actual software itself that'll do the recording as well. The other thing that I'll do as well is I'll go to YouTube as well and open up that. The first time you actually use the screencast software, you will open it up and it will ask you to synchronize your account with YouTube. And that way, so when you have downloaded the file, you can then upload it to YouTube as well. And so this kind of saves you a step along the way. So once you've got the software loaded in, once you've got it linked up to YouTube, then we'll actually go into the process of doing the screencast itself. So here it is, Screencast-O-Matic. Once you've got that done, you go ahead and open this up. What we're looking for is the free recorder right here. Now there are some restrictions with the free recorder. 2 main points. One is that you cannot edit within the free recorder, and 2, you have a 15-minute time frame with that as well. So once that opens up, we'll notice that here are the specifics as well. We'll see this kind of cursor box right here. So what you can do is you can stretch this out. So sometimes maybe I'll hide my file, the tabs that I have open. Maybe I'll hide my toolbar, something like that. If you want to, show a very restricted way, you can do that as well. A couple other things you'll notice is that we have an option for a full screen. We can do it as a webcam, so maybe it's just a recording of you talking to someone, or you can do both, and you'll end up having a small video of your face in here as well. For our current function, we're just going to do the standard screencast. One of the other things you will notice is that you'll see this microphone right here. I've actually am using a headset for this recording right here, but you could also do it as the built-in microphone on your laptop or computer as well. So once we've got all this set, then we're actually going to do the screencast. You'll notice up here in the upper left, we have the record button and the cancel button. There's also the setting here as well. Once you hit the record button, it gives you a countdown, and then we're into the screencast itself. A couple of things we'll end up noticing as we'll go through. As you move your cursor, it'll end up having a small yellow dot around it. That can be helped to be beneficial. So if you're pointing to some specific point within the text, you can do it that way. You can highlight things. You can be talking about this as well. I generally give a brief introduction, kind of talk about, connect with the student itself, and go through it that way. A couple of tips as you are going through the Screencast-O-Matic. Although you can't edit, I would recommend stopping periodically. So maybe you've made your first point and you want to have a second to be able to kind of rethink what you're going to say next. You can pause the recorder and then restart the recording once you've got your thoughts going. The next thing is this idea of signaling with the cursor as well, as I said, so you can kind of highlight different things as you go through. You can, make points as well. Oftentimes people have a concern about screencasting that it can only deal with kind of global issues, but you can also actually do very specific things as well. So this is an opportunity if you're, say, talking about block quotations or something like this, and you want to say, well, you need to move this in, you then need to move the cursor out, things of that nature. This is a great way where you can show very specific points. You could go in, rearrange sentences if you like, do things of those. So if you are interested in showing very, very specific things, screencasting is a great option for that as well. Another thing I do recommend people to do as they are giving comments is to pause between comments as well. It can be somewhat overwhelming if you're giving someone so much information at one time. So periodically maybe stop, think about what you're saying, give them a second to digest and move on from there. Also think about not scrolling too quickly as well. Remember that the only thing they'll see is what's currently on the screen as well. So if you're saying, well, I'm interested here, but then you want to move really quickly to the end of the paper, it can be somewhat disconcerting to do it very quickly as well. Finally, I usually advise writers to use headphones when listening and also to take notes. Now, while the lengths of the videos may vary, I generally say somewhere from about 6 to 12 minutes is probably a good ratio. Research seems to say that about 6 to 10 minutes is a good kind of number. But also in terms of, since you have a limitation of 15 minutes, I generally try to top out at 12, so I'm not going up to the very, very end. So all of a sudden you're in the last minute and you're trying to pack in other things you didn't say. So that's a kind of something to keep in mind. Once you have everything done, go ahead and hit the cancel button right here, and then hit the done button. That'll take us to the screencasting option right here. We can see by the voiceover, the graph here is that our voice has been recorded at the same time. We have a couple of options here. You could save it as a file. You could upload it to Screencast. A lot of this has to do with file size, though. By doing it to YouTube and then setting it to the unlisted setting, that will also not eat up your memory on your computer as well. So that's generally the way that I do it as well. Once it goes through here, you can change the title of it as well. You can make sure that it's set to privacy, and then you hit publish as well. It'll take a few minutes to kind of go through the process right there, but that will eventually upload to it. So we'll actually go to YouTube. We're going to skip ahead. Once you've, it'll automatically go in. What you'll be looking for is the channel button right here. And you'll end up seeing your videos right here. If they are done as unlisted, you'll see that it'll generally come as public. It may not, if you have something that is unlisted, it won't show. So if you click on uploads, that'll take you to your screen. Cynthia, this is Edward. Again, sometimes I will go check to just make sure that everything can be heard and go from there. So that's a brief tutorial on screencasting, and I hope you found this beneficial.